The final goodbye. Sarah stood by the hospital window, gazing out at the gray, rainy day. Her heart was heavy with sorrow, and her eyes were swollen from crying. She couldn't believe how quickly her life had unraveled.It all started a year ago when Sarah's husband, Michael, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. They had been happily married for 10 years, raising 2 beautiful children, Emma and Ben. Life had been good to them until that fateful day when the doctor delivered the devastating news. Michael had fought valiantly against the disease, enduring rounds of chemotherapy, radiation, and numerous surgeries. Sarah had been by his side every step of the way, holding his hand, offering words of encouragement, and trying to keep the family together. They had their share of challenges, but their love for one another remained unwavering. One day, as Sarah was cleaning out a drawer, she came across a letter from Michael. It was a heartfelt message he had written before his illness had taken its toll. "My dearest Sarah," the letter began. "If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer with you, but I want you to know how much you mean to me. You've been my rock, my source of strength, and the love of my life. Please don't mourn for too long. Live your life to the fullest, and never forget that I'll always be with you in spirit. Take care of our beautiful children, and know that I love you now and forever." Tears blurred Sarah's vision as she read Michael's words. She knew that he would never truly be gone as long as his memory lived on in their hearts. Years passed, and Sarah, Emma, and Ben found a new sense of happiness and purpose. They moved on, cherishing the memories of Michael while building a future together. The pain of loss never completely faded, but it became a part of their story, a testament to their resilience and love for one another. And so, as the rain continued to fall outside, Sarah looked at her children and knew that they had weathered the storm together. They had found a way to carry Michael's memory with them, and in doing so, they had discovered the strength to face life's challenges, no matter how difficult. In the end, it was a sad story, but it was also a story of love, strength, and the enduring bonds of family. But as the months passed, it became clear that Michael's battle was coming to an end. The cancer had spread, and his strength was waning. The pain was excruciating, and he spent more time in the hospital than at home. Sarah had quit her job to take care of him and their children, and the mounting medical bills had drained their savings. One evening, as Sarah sat at Michael's bedside, he turned to her with a weak smile. "I love you, Sarah," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she replied, "I love you too, Michael. You're my rock, my everything." As the days passed, Michael's condition deteriorated further. He was no longer able to speak, and his eyes lost their spark. Sarah knew that the end was near, and she dreaded the moment when she would have to say goodbye. One rainy evening, Sarah sat with Emma and Ben in the hospital's waiting room, their faces pale and somber. The hospital corridor was filled with the soft hum of machines and the hushed voices of doctors and nurses. Time seemed to stand still as they waited for the inevitable. A nurse approached them and gently said, "You can go in now. He's asking for you." One rainy evening, Sarah sat with Emma and Ben in the hospital's waiting room, their faces pale and somber. The hospital corridor was filled with the soft hum of machines and the hushed voices of doctors and nurses. Time seemed to stand still as they waited for the inevitable. A nurse approached them and gently said, "You can go in now. He's asking for you." Sarah nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She held Emma's hand, and Ben clung to her side as they walked into Michael's room. He lay there, frail and weak, his breath shallow and labored. Michael managed to open his eyes and offer a feeble smile when he saw his family. Sarah knelt by his bedside, tears streaming down her cheeks. "We're here, Michael," she whispered. "We love you." He reached out a trembling hand and touched each of their faces, as if imprinting their features in his memory. Then, with one last sigh, he closed his eyes and slipped away, leaving behind a profound silence. Sarah, Emma, and Ben clung to each other, their tears mingling with the rain outside. Their lives had changed forever, and they faced an uncertain future without the man who had been their anchor. In the days that followed, Sarah struggled to cope with her grief and the overwhelming responsibilities of being a single mother. The bills kept piling up, and she was forced to sell their home to cover the medical expenses. They moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of town, far from the life they had once known. Sarah took on multiple jobs to make ends meet, working long hours while trying to provide for Emma and Ben.